let's hop in. It's wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today.
Yes, I'm excited to chat.
Me too. So let's begin our journey by asking you this. 5 years ago, this pandemic changed all of our lives, the whole world. How did you get through the pandemic of 2020, and how is it radiated into your world in 2025?
So, the pandemic in 2020 is what I like to call my first spiritual awakening. It was really when I realized how programmed I had been my entire life, starting at a very young age, all throughout school, of all of these should and have tos that I was supposed to and needed to do from societal pressure,
Yeah.
right? And so I never, until 2020, I actually never truly asked myself, what is it that I want to do? What are the things that fulfill my soul? What are the things that light me up? And if I go down a different path than what society says I should, then that's okay.
Yeah.
And just really owning who I am. And so that was as tough as the pandemic was in 2020 was, it allowed me to sit in silence, get quiet with myself, understand who I was, and just have this incredible awakening with not only me but just the world and in nature around me.
So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do on a daily basis here. And right now, I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of 12-year-olds. It's career
Mm.
day. The kid in the back of the room wants to know what you do for a living. How do you answer them based on just kind of your career, like what you did before and what you're doing now?
It's a great question. So, 12-year-old, I would tell them that I empower individuals to create and build a life around their happiness and something that fulfills them in their internal soul, not on an ego level. That's how I would break it down for that 12-year-old.
So when you were 12 years old, what is it that you wanted to be when you grew up? What was your dream gig?
I think when I was 12, I wanted to be, a doctor or a lawyer or some high achieving, so growing up, I thought, okay, well, my worth was based on, external achievements. And so I thought like doctors and lawyers, I really looked up to them. I thought, wow, like if you're a doctor, your level of worth is that much higher. That is the programming that I went through and really tied a lot of achievements tied my worth onto external achievements and external validation. So um that is was really a big shift for me, is understanding, and really what I do now is understanding that your worth is not, when we came on this earth, we were inherently worthy. We
Yeah.
had everything that we ever needed. And so overcoming that programming and realizing that no matter, what you decide to do and what your path is, and how many failures you have, that's all amazing. That doesn't determine, the value of who you are.
So take me back to some of the early foundational building blocks that were instilled. Are you originally from Dallas?
No, I'm originally from Arizona. So,
Okay.
yep. So I grew up with with the family of entrepreneurs. So actually from a young age, I saw that you could, create and build your own company, and really you didn't have to go work, the corporate world. However, I also saw that entrepreneurship was tied to a lot of, stress and a lot of, obligations and responsibility. So those limiting and those beliefs and blocks had held me back at a young age from really wanting to go that route until after I graduated college. And I did go into the corporate world for 3 years, and I only lasted 3 years. And I thought, okay, get me the heck out of here.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And so from a very, very young age, though, I saw that you could absolutely have fulfillment from creating your own thing, and you didn't have to necessarily go into, the system.
So you operate as a transformational force in people's lives with the work that you do. Who has that been for you? Who's been that inspiration or that hero that's allowed you to find your way and to evolve into your role in your life today?
There's a couple different. So I love Lacey Phillips. She has a company called To Be Magnetic, And she really lives a life that's just really true to her authenticity. And she inspired me to figure out what it was that, lit me up. What was my purpose here? A lot of us think that our purpose in life is what we're here to do, and it's not. It's actually just rediscovering who you are. So I discovered her right after the pandemic. So she was like the first inspirational person in my life that I saw, wow, she's really living a life that's true to her without needing like validation from anybody else. And that was the inspiration that I said, that's the life that I want. I want to be able to create and build, but not depend on that external validation to feel worth. I still want to go for those achievements and I still want big things, but I want to, while I'm climbing to the top of the mountain, I want to feel fulfilled and I want to be happy. I don't want to wait till I get to the top of the mountain to feel those, emotions and feelings.
So, in your role of helping people transform their lives, there's an amount of risk that goes into it. What's the biggest risk that you've taken in your life professionally?
What do you mean by the amount of risk that goes into it?
Just like an entrepreneur has to take chances. They have to risk and do things and step into the possibility of failure. So along those lines, what has been the biggest moment that you would consider a risk in your professional life?
In 2018, I launched a technology company. So I did raise money from investors, and that came with a lot of pressure, right? Because it was not only wanting to succeed on for me, but it was the pressure of having other investors invested in me. It was like, oh my goodness. But I was really excited and motivated, and it was a really, really great idea. So we built that company, for years. Unfortunately, with the AI and just how quickly it changes everything, we needed to raise an amount in funds that I wasn't able to secure really to get us to the next level. And it took a lot of time for me to be able to let go of that company because I didn't want to fail. I thought, okay, I have to make this happen. And
Yeah.
so I kept trying like different ways and I recruited engineers, from Google or Facebook and they were incredible, but I really knew that okay, I'm not going to be able to secure the funding that I need to get us to the next level. So we had to unfortunately close that company, but the amount of lessons, and I think that's the biggest thing, right? It's you're going to fail in life and as long as you can learn from it, it's not a failure.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And once I realized that, once I took all of the knowledge that I've learned through, I mean, honestly, all of the different failures that you've had in life, even from the very beginning of, losing a game or when you were a child, and you start to apply those to what did I learn? A lot of transformation happens at that point.
So in the realm of tech entrepreneurship, who's your favorite tech entrepreneur? Who do you admire the most? Who did you emulate when you were starting the company?
Well, okay, so one of my favorite female entrepreneurs is Whitney Wolf, and she was the founder of Bumble, a
Yeah.
dating app. And I loved her energy. I loved that she too hadn't didn't have she actually did have a little bit of knowledge and experience in the technology industry, but she wasn't like an engineer,
Yeah.
right? She had like a marketing background. So she was really inspirational for me because I related to her story. That said, I mean, now I think the goat of all time is Elon Musk, and I think that that's hard to hard to disagree or argue with. And he continues, I think, to be an inspiration for everyone in that industry.
So let me ask you this. What is it that gets you up every day to do this work? Because being somebody that's helping people get to a different place, you kind of have to get into their world a little bit and it can get messy, I'm sure. How do you protect yourself? How do you enhance your soul? And how do you wake up and do this work to the best of your ability every day?
So every morning I wake up, I meditate. It's the very first thing that I do. It's my favorite part of the day. I take the first 30 minutes um, right when I wake up to do that. And then I also make sure that I take the next 2 to 3 hours of the day to journal, to work out, to go for a walk in nature. It is like my time to get grounded, regulate my nervous system so that I can have a magnetic and energetic day and really show up for my clients. That said, I live my life under four pillars: Lead, freedom, connections, experiences, and leadership. And
Yeah.
those four words are the internal compass of what fulfills my soul. So if there's a decision that I have to make and it doesn't fall under one of those four pillars, I know that it's not aligned with me and it's probably going to just bring frustration into my life, right? Even like the people, a connection being a really big one. If I meet someone and I don't feel like, gosh, I really have a connection with this person, doesn't mean that they're not a good person. It just means that they might not be for me. And that's okay, right? So really just going through the day and remembering those four words in all of the decisions I make. And if I find the alignment with what I'm doing with those pillars, then I just feel this energy inside. And I'm so, for any listener that's ever really truly sat and got quiet and felt those sensations within their body, it is a magical, magical thing. And that is how you're going to find your happiness. That's how you're going to find your fulfillment, is by the sensations and getting quiet inside and being present. So make sure that what I teach my clients, I'm actually, living myself.
So let me ask you this. If you were to have a dream tonight, ran into the 18-year-old version of you, ready to charge out into the world and change things, what advice would you give based on the life you've led, the wisdom you've gained so far?
Get rid of all the should and have tos. You
Yeah.
don't have to do anything. You shouldn't feel like, oh, I have to go to college. If you're really great, if you're an artist and that's your thing and you're really passionate about it, trust in yourself. Take that leap of faith and go follow that dream. You can always, fall back and go to college. You can go to college online. There's so many different paths. You don't have to, do something just the way that someone else did it or the way that someone else is telling you. Even when it comes to building a company, you could be inspired by somebody and they went up the mountain one way and you go up the mountain a different way. You're both going to end up at the top of the mountain. You just climbed it, you just took different paths.
Yeah.
So first of all, learn how to meditate, get quiet with yourself, turn go internally and ask yourself what you want. Don't ask, your teachers and your parents and all the other people what they think. Everyone's going to have an opinion. And oh my gosh, like that would, even your mind is going to have an opinion. But turn inside and ask yourself, like, what is it that you truly want? What fulfills you? And then follow that path, and don't be afraid to pivot.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden you wake up one day and you thought, gosh, you know what, for 3 years I loved doing this one thing and I'm just not feeling it, okay, that's okay. Don't let that be your identity. Pick something else. And I think that especially when it comes to careers, there's so many people that have been like, oh, I've been with this company for 20 years. That that's great for that person, right?
Yeah.
But don't feel, if you're feeling the need and the itch of, I feel stuck, I'm wanting something different, I'm meant for something different. Do not be afraid to own that feeling and follow it and choose your own path.
So let me ask you this. If you were to walk into a room of everybody that's known you in a professional business sense, whether those that you've coached or those that you've worked with throughout the years, and you could go to a podium in that room and tell them one fun story about you and your life that would humanize you, the first concert you went to, jumping out of an airplane, a magical place you traveled to, some kind of adventure, what story would you tell that room of people?
Oh gosh, a story that would humanize me. Um, I think it would be something along the lines of, well, I mean, one of my favorite stories about just rediscovering myself was a road trip that I took by myself it was actually at the end of COVID. It was November, December, 2020. And I just got in a truck by myself and I started driving. I hit up Park City. I went all throughout Colorado. I ended up in Sedona, Arizona. I just went everywhere. And a lot of times I think we're afraid there's places that we want to go, we want to travel to, but we don't want to go alone. Why?
Yeah.
Why is that? Why can't you go alone, right? Like I loved it. It was the best trip of my life and I was alone. I met so many people. I would go walk into a restaurant, didn't know anyone, sit up at the bar. I would walk out with like five new best friends and you just sit and talk to strangers and you get to know them and people are so interesting. And I absolutely like loved that, you know? And another time actually I did that was I took a 7 day bike ride through Italy, rode about 50 miles a day with a group of people that I didn't know. And
Wow.
that was really cool too.
Yeah.
And so, you know, don't be afraid to take yourself to the movies. Don't be afraid to go to dinner. Go, you know, if you're like, "Hey, I'm bored one night." Take yourself out, sit at the bar. It's so cool that the amount of people that you can meet and the connections that you can meet. And for think a lot of people have that fear of like, you know, being seen, and that might sound scary to them of doing these things alone. But I'm telling you, it's when you get it just becomes second nature. It's a really fun thing to do. I love doing it.
So let me ask you this. Of everything that you've done, accomplished, and evolved to at this point in your life, what are you the proudest of?
I think what I'm doing now, the coaching. So even last week, my client had such a transformational moment of moving from this really low self-worth place to really just discovering like her worth again. And I had her journal. I give like one of my clients homework, you know, week like this here is what I would love for you to do. It's optional. They don't have to do it, but you know, she ended up journaling ended up being 8 to 10 pages and she was reading it to me and I thought, oh my God, this is my calling. Like this is really why I'm here, is to help individuals like transform and find their happiness now, not wait for it, right?
Yeah.
Find the joy in your every single day and not feel like once I get here, once I have this, then I'm going to be happy. Then I'm going to find, you know, then I'm going to think I'm worthy enough to sit at a table with, you know, these types of people.
Yeah.
No, let's not wait. Let's do that now. Let's find that now. And so just seeing them and you can, you know, I start to see the shift and I mean, I'll be honest, I had to hold back some tears. I had to stay professional, you know, but I was like, wow, this is like, it's incredibly moving. So I feel really proud of what I do. I feel really just inspired by all of my clients. And I just feel like I finally found my purpose and my calling.
So at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, clients, everyone you work with, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Well, let me start first with who they think I am. They
Yeah.
think I'm the outgoing, you know, always going to, you know, show up and just, I'm super outgoing, like extroverted, right? However, I'm like a hermit. I'm actually very introverted. I love my alone time. I get all of my energy from like sitting in silence, being still. If I go on a family vacation, I absolutely love it and I'm there. But once I get back, I need like 3 days just to kind of like recoup and like, and just be a hermit, like just sit and not like necessarily sit on the couch and watch Netflix, but like meditate and read and get back to like working and those types of things. So if any of your listeners know anything about human design, my personality is a 2/4, and that is exactly who I am. I'm the hermit, and then I'm that outgoing person to everybody else.
So if anyone has questions, they want to reach out, they want to hire you, any of the good business, where do they go?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Constance Curtis, and you can also go to my website, which is learn-here.com.
Okay. Constance, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for your story. Thank you for your time and energy. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for having me.
You bet. Thank you.